Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Austin.
And my name's Ian.
And welcome to the Stompbox Situation.
So today we talked a lot about the future of the podcast and specifically why we're doing this podcast.
Mm-hmm. Well, Ian and I are both gear fanatics. We love gear. We almost obsess about it. You know, I'm either playing guitar or working on a song or on reverb.
Trolling for the next
year. 2017's best delay pedal.
Exactly.
You know? So this podcast is an incentive for us to, learn more about pedals, educate in the process.
Not only ourselves,
but also maybe
hopefully you guys.
Hopefully you guys.
That's the main goal.
Mm-hmm. Or different applications of a pedal. What if you put the OCD on an acoustic? What happens?
Yeah, exactly. Or could we use delay for just a simple country song?
A good old
carbon
slap.
copy MXR. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so today we talk a little bit about all of this.
Yeah.
And we go into some different things ranging from just why we're doing this podcast to things that make us laugh or things that make us upset when it comes to pedals.
Things on our mind.
And you'll find that, most of our podcasts will be demoing pedals, but today was a talking one. I've got an injured finger, so I wasn't able to play. Which is quite funny. And
we'll go over this. We go over the schedule for the podcast, later on, I believe near the end. And we'll also be posting about the schedule on our Instagram and everything.
Yeah, so check us out on Instagram, Stompbox Situation. Sundays will be the days where we'll release more like talking episodes. But that'll be less frequent than us demoing pedals. So went through some different things. We'll think you'll enjoy the conversation. And let us know what you think.
Yeah.
We want to hear. And let us know what you want to see, too. Because it's important to us. This is for users by users. Not drug
consumers
users.
By consumers.
But this is kind of like a drug. Pedals.
Yes. It's almost worse.
Almost is. Let's get into it. You can help me answer this, Austin, but I think we're trying to give people more of a lens into the world of guitar nerds, gear nerds, pedal freaks, people who love chasing down legendary tones.
Gear sluts.
Gear sluts.
Yes.
Yes.
Do you read those?
No.
Have you seen that? It's like a forum, and then it's just like people talking about gear.
And it's just called Gear Sluts.
It's called Gear Sluts.
Oh, that's wonderful.
It's amazing.
We should shamelessly plug our podcast on Gear Sluts.
Into Gear Sluts.
Yeah, so I guess, that makes us Gear Sluts.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I was thinking with the podcast, we would just talk about cool gear, cool pedals, cool guitars, cool amps,
Yes.
Everything with just sick tone. Cool tones.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I agree. Austin and I were talking about this, in the last few weeks, just how there are some podcasts out there that, really cover some phenomenal topics, but we have yet to find one that spoke to us as gear fanatics.
Something more directed.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. Something more specifically geared toward pedals, and also something less restricted to some formula or schedule, but we're gonna try and throw as much variety in there as possible while still keeping the focus on pedals. So we're excited to share it with everybody.
I'm pretty stoked on it. Yeah.
Are you excited?
I'm excited on it. Yeah. I probably should introduce myself.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah,
let's do that.
Yeah.
Go ahead. You go first.
My name is Austin. I am a gear fanatic. I am obsessed with pedals and everything 60 cycles.
How long would you say you've taken it seriously? Like, what point did you decide to yourself, like, this is a career this is like gonna be my life.
I think after I went to engineering school is when I thought everything kind of matters. And then I kind of took the tone serious, 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, it's like you
know?
stop. There's a point, right, where you stop seeing it as a skill you're learning, and more it becomes like, and I noticed I had this at some point in my life in the last, I'd say probably 2 years, I had that switch flip for me where it was like it became not a skill I'm learning, but an art form and something that's more, that if taken really seriously, you can do a lot of beautiful and amazing things with, but it requires a level of seriousness, I think, to get yourself to a place of freedom where you can start to really create without many inhibitions or limitations. And I think when you first start, for me, like you said, you just look at it like, oh, it's just like an electric guitar. This is just like, you put it on the same level as like,
it's more
your
of like a
sports
hobby.
Practice. Yeah.
I don't know.
Or swimming or something. Yeah. Like you said, a hobby. Yeah.
What about you? When did you start taking this
so
guitar playing thing serious?
That's really, it's a hard question. I mean, really, I think a year and a half ago, probably maybe even 2 years, but there was a moment where I'd played bass since I was like 10 years old, and I took lessons for probably 7 or 8 years. And before that, I'd played trumpet and I'd played violin. So I'd been
all trumpet?
Not well anymore, obviously.
What?
I sound like a dying animal, but yes.
Dude, what?
You didn't know that?
No, what? Oh my God.
Yeah, but this was like a short phase. So, right, I was in 3rd or 4th grade, and it was like, oh, that seems like it'd be something cool to do, right? So I picked up a trumpet, and I had one of those old school professors who was like, when he wasn't a professor to me, because we were in elementary school, but was from a music school. And he was one of those guys who just took things so seriously that, it's like if I accidentally bumped my trumpet on my stand, he'd be like, he'd bang his on the desk and be like, oh, is this really the way you want to treat your trumpet? And so it pushed me, he was so intense, it pushed me away from that.
That sounds almost illegal.
Yes, definitely. He was definitely breaking some laws. But, that pushed me away from trumpet. And I remember, I got to a point in bass where I decided I was tired of playing alone in my room, tired of not being able to, do much more than just accompany a guitar player or, a piano player or a drummer. And so, I don't know. At some point, I was teaching myself acoustic guitar in the last 5 years. And I think 2 years ago, I just flipped that switch and said, I really want to do something more spectacular than I'm doing with this, and I'm not going to get there through just being a bedroom player. You know? My name's Ian, by the way. You've already got my history, but there's my introduction.
So let's talk about the Stompbox situation and what we're going to talk about. Yes. Like what's the what do they call mission statement?
Yes.
What's the mission statement
What's
of
our vision?
The Stompbox situation? You know what I mean?
I'll say what I think it is, and then you say what you think it is, and people can take what they'd like from it. It's an attempt for us to channel some of our passions into a place where we want people to feel like they can come to nerd out with us. They can connect on the things they love, and they can consume it in a way that isn't going on and watching a Reverb rig rundown, which is, you have to get on YouTube and physically watch it. But
was it Andy from
rig rundowns or
from Premier Guitar?
Yes.
No, it's that one guy.
Tone Report.
It's hi, I'm Andy. What is that?
Tone Report?
I don't know.
Did he? He's the one who just partnered with Reverb. Maybe.
I don't know, dude.
Yeah. Maybe that's Jim. No.
I have no idea.
We'll have to look that up.
Anyway, sorry, what were you saying?
Producer looked that up. Oh, wait, we don't have one. But, I was just saying, I think it's really, we felt like we wanted people to be able to, on their ride to work or in this in-between moments in their day, maybe check out a pedal they wanted to hear a demo from, or they wanted to, maybe listen to us talk about something in, pedal history. But I think we're trying to fill a gap that we felt was there in the podcast world.
I agree.
Guitars. Yeah.
Because I think because Ian and I have listened to guitar podcasts in the past for a little bit, and we were struggling to find something that's a little more directed, as of something along the lines of like, today we're going to demo the carbon copy from MXR,
Yeah.
and they actually play the MXR instead of talking about, how much JHS, what's his name?
Josh H. Scott.
Josh H.
I think that's where he gets the name too.
Yeah, loves cheeseburgers.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Which is awesome.
Which is great.
Which is fantastic because I love cheeseburgers. And
who doesn't like cheeseburgers?
I share that same passion with Josh, as do I for his love of pedals. Mm-hmm. And I love his pedals because they're fucking phenomenal. But I know what you're saying in the sense that we've, Austin and I have just wanted to, be able to click on an hour podcast where someone says, today I'm reviewing, the Big Sky from Strymon. And you could listen to that maybe on your commute to work or to school, and you don't have to watch a video, and you don't have to sit through a conversation that you maybe weren't looking for, and not that, again, there's anything wrong with that, but we want to keep it more focused. And I think you did a fantastic job at explaining too, really the main root of our inspiration too, So what are we going to do besides just review pedals? That's a common question I've asked myself. but we are going to also talk about history in the world of pedals and guitar and gear. And we're also going to cover in some special sessions at times how to capture or chase down some legendary tones.
Yes. Or combinations of a couple pedals that, are iconic.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes. So we're going to have iconic tone segments where we may say, today we're checking out Layla by Eric Clapton, and we're going to cover how he got the tone in the final solo in Layla. Or one day it might be how to get a great sound on an acoustic for a Taylor Swift song. But
yes,
we're going to keep a variety in there. That way it's not just pedals.
And Ian and I were also talking about possibly having special guests come in,
Yes.
Because a lot of our friends are extremely musically talented. It'd be cool to see different kinds of tones and how, they use their pedals, in their style of playing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean? Yeah. So, as this develops and we see where it goes and we hear from you guys what you want to hear more of and what you want to hear less of, we will definitely be having special guests on and special podcasts that are going to really be more geared toward, getting a window into like the life of a talented producer or the life of someone who's a talented musician, or some podcasts might even be a tips and tricks from someone we feel, could help you achieve a certain tone or play certain guitar styles. So as we grow and develop, we hope to make it to that place with the podcast for sure. Yeah. We were just talking about earlier, Austin just got a new board rigged up.
Oh, yeah.
Just this week. Oh, yeah.
Just this week, yes.
Oh, yeah. Austin, you want to tell us a little bit?
Okay, so
about what you got going on here?
I wish I could show you guys pictures, but I can't.
Yeah, we will get a video feed too.
Yes.
Eventually, so stay tuned.
So I'm controlling everything with the One Control OC10, which is pretty cool. It has 10 loops. I believe 1 through 7 is in series, and 8 through 10 is out of the series, and I believe it's parallel, which is pretty cool because I like to run my reverbs and delays through that. But I kind of just hooked everything up. Before I was running everything from input of one pedal to the output of another pedal,
Yeah. Most people's pedal boards, right?
Yeah. And I just thought like playing like all these gigs and stuff, some of the pedals that I have aren't true bypass. So if it goes down, I go down. So I wanted to get something that like kind of allows me to have a little bit more flexibility.
Yes.
So I just finished hooking it up. I got some new pedals. I got the Timeline from Strymon, and I'm going to pronounce this wrong, so I apologize. Is it the Lele?
I'm going to pronounce it wrong too.
Yeah,
I'd say Lele.
Yeah.
Lele. Lele seems to make sense, but I've heard people say Lele.
Lele. Uh-huh.
That feels kind of better, but
yeah, I apologize.
But regardless of the pronunciation, I think everybody knows.
Everybody knows what
company you're talking about.
If you're here right now listening to this, you're bound to know.
Yeah.
But I just got that. I just got the new volume pedal, and then obviously the OC10 and the timeline, and I think it's great. Oh, I'm powering everything with a combination of the Voodoo Lab Power 2 Plus and the Ojai R30 by Strymon, which is pretty cool. It's like the low profile.
Yeah, and this pedal board, guys, we will put up some photos on our Instagram, and also we will, when we have a video feed, we'll give everybody an inside look on this on one of our podcasts. But, I mean, this pedal is beautiful, people. Believe me, this pedal board is like what you would see in an ad, in a guitar magazine, or what you see on those posts that have 23,000 likes that are like, which pedal board would you choose? Austin's is definitely one of those, and it's the one I would choose.
That's funny.
But it's it's awesome. We were just talking about earlier this Lele volume pedal. I've just been a little enamored with it because I'm trying to get a volume pedal myself to experiment with some new sounds. And you were sharing earlier about the Ernie Ball, right? The Ernie Ball volume pedal is phenomenal. It's a standby for a lot of people.
Yeah, it's a great pedal.
Yes,
it's great.
But you felt right, or you feel like the immediate differences and similarities that you felt were. I don't know. Do you want to share a little bit about that?
Yeah. Well, I feel like when I was using the volume pedal, well, just to give you guys a little bit more background, I play in a band where I do a lot of swells, and I do a lot of, I guess, pad and ambience, and a little bit more soundscaping than I do actual guitar playing and licks. So I do use the volume pedal a lot, and I found that switching between the, let me grab it. Here we go. An example right here. I had the Ernie Ball volume pedal, and I just found that the system of the pot and the string, it works great, but it's one of those things where it's so, check this out. Are you ready? Do you hear that? You probably can hear that. It's just so...
Yeah, let's get that again one more time.
Okay, where?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, there it is.
Oh, yeah.
It's so freaking loud. It's a great pedal. You can hear... It's like having a scratchy pot.
Yes, yeah.
You can hear a scratchy pot.
Yes.
Especially playing a lot of outdoor gigs, which is mostly what I do.
Yeah, and especially... Even if it's something that other people aren't going to notice, I know as a guitar player... If you're hearing that sound the whole time, it makes for a miserable gig, and it also will throw you off too, and then you might not be as focused on playing. So it's incredibly important. But and so what's cool about this Lele too, which we were sharing just right before we were recording, was like that it's incredibly sensitive to the point where you can just tap it and you'll get a response out of it. So
yeah, totally.
For someone looking for something more responsive, more delicate, the Lele is definitely the choice. And I know I'm saying Lele, switching back and forth. Someone let me know what the right one is. Someone will let us know.
Someone will wreck us.
Oh, they'll wreck us. They'll say, who are these fucking...
Who are these losers?
Losers trying to pronounce this pedal name.
Yeah. The Lele uses something called a Hall sensor instead of a string in a pot. So it's much more sensitive. And also you won't get the noise of the string moving or the, dirty pot.
Yeah, you just get a nice clean volume swell.
You get the clean swell. And the plus of that is obviously it's more responsive. It's a little more sensitive. But that could be a downfall because I find myself swelling sometimes on the Ernie Ball or just doing stuff involving the volume pedal. It's like when you're driving your old car and you're really used to your old car,
Yeah.
And it's like, oh yeah, I'm driving. It's kind of, you kind of have to push on it really hard, but I'm used to it,
Yes, yeah. When you don't have that power steering.
Yeah.
It works, and in some ways there's a benefit to it.
Yeah.
Sometimes you feel more in tune with the car, in tune with the turn.
You can kind of like
You
grab
really
it a little bit.
the mechanics of the car.
Yeah.
Where like if you're driving an Audi or a German, car that's like floating on the road, it kind of feels like you're driving a boat almost. It's every little touch of the wheel is gonna send you left or right on the road.
Totally.
Right? Where
Yeah,
your
that's
Mustang,
perfect.
it's gonna take a real crank to like get it around even just a right turn, right? Yeah, that's a fantastic analogy. And I've yet to use this, but we're gonna demo it obviously in the coming weeks, but I'll have to give my review too when I check it out.
Yeah.
I'll have to kind of share what I think about it.
Well, it's kind of like one of those things where you could use like the old car analogy, or you could do a thing where it's like you're so used to driving your car and then you drive your friend's car. And then I always find whenever I drive somebody else's car, the first thing I always think of is like, wow, this is so sensitive.
Yes. Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
wow,
because
your brakes are so touchy. That's how I feel right now with the new volume pedal, because it kicks in so early. Well, not so early, just earlier than what the Ernie ball would kick in.
Yeah.
Or when it would come into effect in like a noticeably amount of volume, and also has 35 dB boost of gain, which is optional. You can,
Do you keep that on generally, or?
I don't, because I run everything into a buffer after I run through my pedals, and I'll turn it on if I want to try to get a little more breakup instead of turning on my boost.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Get a little more.
I could do that, but
yeah.
I don't know. It's just kind of an inconvenient spot, especially while playing, to like, because it's in the front of the volume pedal.
Yeah, so you're not going to have that
hand.
option to really change it mid-gig or mid-song.
Mid-song.
I guess
you could change it in between, like songs and stuff, but I'd rather just have a boost.
Yeah, it makes a lot
board,
more sense. Yeah, for sure.
But I mean, it's a great feature,
Yeah, of course, especially just to have the option, and if you're recording, especially to have the option,
you could push the input.
Yeah, absolutely.
Push the input a little bit more.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I always find not everybody likes a boost or a clean boost.
Okay, yeah.
But I find that having some sort of buffer or booster or both can add to your tone a lot and really kind of push what the amp has to offer too. Like I've noticed, because it's a cool feature. So if you don't have a buffer, you don't have a boost, you could pop that on and probably get a similar effect in some ways, especially if you're using that volume pedal to come out on some lead, which is less common, but I think it would be a valuable feature. Yeah, but that's where I'm interested in checking it out. It's like I've been wanting to use a volume pedal for lead and slide to add a lot of different effects to like basically cutting out the sound you would hear of me plucking and allowing me to capture some more vocal tones. And I've only been able to play around with it with this terrible amp modeling Vox pedal I have, which we'll probably demo at some point. But it allows me to use the volume pedal on that, and it's just not great, and it's not convenient, and it's not like having just a one on your board. And so I'm interested to check this out, because it might actually be the case that the Ernie Ball, for the type of things I'm looking for, less sensitive, is going to be better. But we'll see about that.
Oh, boosts. You were saying some people don't like boosts, or don't find them necessary. A lot of people do is, like the Echoplex, like EP3, those classic tape delays.
Absolutely,
People will get something like the Timeline that would offer a tape delay emulation,
Yeah.
And then just get the EP booster from SPL, those tiny little guys, and just run that in front of the Timeline and keep it in the same chain.
That's interesting.
Just to color it a little bit.
I've never seen that. Yeah.
Because the EP booster is basically the preamp of the Echoplex.
So it's really, and then, it really would give you a sort of an even better delay too, like an even crispier delay.
It just gets you closer to what, like, the original, instead of like not everybody's gonna have the luxury of bringing an Echoplex to a gig.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or being able to fund the repairs and, cleaning of it.
Yes, absolutely.
When
you can
starts to
accomplish
break
a
down.
similar thing by getting that preamp running it into the timeline. That's awesome. I've never heard of that. That's a cool little nugget of information.
Yeah.
So you heard it from Austin. Someone try that out. Let us know how it works. First. Yeah. You heard it here first. Stompbox Situation. Don't use it. It's trademarked.
Trademarked.
It's ours. So, but in the coming weeks, we'll do, obviously, all of Austin's board at some point. We'll do all of my board. We're going to hope at some point we get sponsors and people who want to send us some stuff to.
I would love that.
Yeah. So you heard it here.
Yeah.
If you want to send us some gear to demo, we'll do video, we'll do audio, we'll put it on the podcast. Let us know. Hit us up on Instagram, Stompbox Situation. Send us a DM and just, we'd be glad.
Yeah.
Glad, happy, super happy to take pedals and demo them for you.
Oh, yeah. Because I love doing that anyways,
Yeah, we're doing it here anyways. And that's also part of, this first podcast. We wanted to really give people an idea what we want to do here and just give people a sense of who we are and how casual this is, although we take music and gear very seriously. And I think Austin just now kind of hit on the point that, like, we felt like we were doing this anyways, right? We felt like we were already talking about gear.
This is all we talk about.
Yeah, literally. When Austin and I hang out, this is all we talk about. All we do when we're not together is pretty much play our gear or look at new gear that we want to play or work on music. And we just thought, why not just put some mics in the room for 2 or 3 hours and see what happens? So, I think that's also, just a major reason why we're here doing this, and I hope that you guys as listeners connect with that, especially being people who are probably very similar to us,
And I mean, on my side too, I want to learn more about pedals and the pedal companies. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not the master of pedals.
Yeah, neither of us here are experts for sure. Yeah. And I'm in the same boat where I'm using this podcast not only to help bring the community together, have another forum and spot for people to come together and talk about pedals and share with one another. Yeah. But also, I think Austin and I are both doing this in a little bit of a selfish way, where it's like we get to learn more and maybe even become experts in the process on pedals, and like you said, get to know the company owners, the people making them, the reasons why they're special, and it's not just going to be like, hey, we're going to demo this so the cheapest phase you can get for a good, for that's going to do the job, or oh, here's a mid-priced flanger.
Flanger?
Oh, wait, what is it again? So Austin and I have this. Austin, maybe you explain it.
One time Ian and I were hanging out and he said, what'd you say? Flanger? He said
it's
flanger.
So painful I can't even revisit it.
He was leaving. He was like, oh, I mean, I might get like a new flanger.
Yeah, flanger.
Or something like it. And I didn't say anything. I was like, oh, I'm not gonna bring it up. I can't do that to him. I'm not going to say anything.
Yeah, it was like one of those things. Austin's like, we're new enough friends. We're like, I don't want to be that guy right now. Yeah. Like, but then we come back together. We hang out again. We're hanging out with a mutual friend who we both have known much longer than we've known each other. And I say it again, flanger, right?
Flanger. Yeah.
And this friend's like, dude, what did you like? What did you? How did you just say that? And then all of a sudden, Austin turns to me. He's like, "Yeah, by the way, I just didn't tell you the other day, but that's not how you pronounce it."
I couldn't do it.
You couldn't break my heart.
Yeah,
I understand.
It's like saying Pazer.
Oh God! I was gonna say Fosser, but
Fosser.
It is.
I got the Pazer 100.
Oof.
Oh,
that's painful.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's. The worst part is, I've been saying that since I was 12, at least. I've been pronouncing it that way for years, and no one's ever said to me. I mean, countless people I've played with, no one's ever said it to me once. Like, hey, dude, that's not how you.
Well, I mean, to be fair, you say it so confidently that I question myself.
That's wonderful. That is the best thing. That's like. I could only hope to achieve that level of confidence in all areas of life where you can just deliver the wrong pronunciation and have someone else question
themselves
and their own education. Yeah. That's true. That's true power.
That is, yeah. You said it and I was like, wait, is it flanger? Like, have I been saying it wrong?
That's too funny. But so, you're going to hear that word pronounced in a lot of different ways.
Stick around for that.
Mainly as an inside joke, just so you know.
A little flanger.
Little flanger.
Taser action.
That reverb. Which I'm sure some British guy says reverb.
Yeah.
But, to bring it back to what we're talking about a little bit, about why we're here, it's really, we want to give people more than the simple pedal rundown. We don't want it to just be like...
It's not like it's not an ad for the pedals.
Yes, we don't want it to be... Exactly. We're not doing a 3-minute ad to sell people Strymon pedals.
It's not a reverb ad of, look how cool this pedal is. It's about like how you could use the pedal kind of thing, and you got to learn a little bit about the company's background. I find that stuff interesting.
Yeah, I do know what you mean. Yeah, that's exactly, and that's exactly what we're going to do on our Sunday podcast. So we'll be releasing podcasts different days of the week. And corresponding with those days will be different styles of effects. And we will slowly reveal like what those days are, and we will have sort of announcements leading up to each new podcast we release, letting people know or teasing, at like what it's going to be this week. So, but for Sundays, we've decided when we do those podcasts, we're going to talk just more about, we're going to do something similar to this and talk more about history and exactly what you're talking about, which is like more of the behind the scenes with the pedal industry and also the history behind it, because we both feel like that doesn't get covered at all, and you hear a lot of people talk about pre-CBS this, pre-CBS that. Yeah. Oh, here's a 50s Gibson, here's an original, stop piece, blah, 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 blah. And I think you don't hear a lot of people saying, oh, check out this, original pedal I have from 1972 and it was made by this guy and he used this chip. And I think we want to dig more into that, right?
Yeah.
That's what I want to do.
No, I want to do that too. I was going to say, also look into more boutique pedal companies, because, everybody knows Strymon, MXR,
JHS,
Wampler, Earthquaker,
Yep.
What about those like...
Diamond is even pretty popular now.
Diamond's pretty popular. All those kind of guys.
Full Tone's popular now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like the boutique pedal shops where there's maybe only a couple guys.
Yeah, working. we wanna shine some light on guys who don't get looked, or pedal companies that don't get looked at enough, because there's a lot of guys out there making great pedals, and they don't have the hype or the budget or maybe even the branding that puts them in the position that like JHS is in, or someone who's really got
a
full brand head to toe, like, and a foot in the door, developed and just worked out. I mean, like, I use a pedal, an overdrive that we'll review, called the Creme Brulee by a company called Tone Bakery, and they're not even boutique. They're really just a small pedal company, and that thing is a clone, and it pulls out some of the best OD tones I've ever had, consistently all day, high gain, low gain. I can use it as a clean boost. And that pedal cost me $90. Got it on Amazon, and it was one of those things that was a bit of a whim. Took a bit of a kind of bet on it. Just read a couple of reviews, but it's pedals like that have made me rethink, like rethink buying those pedals that are hyped up as here's the best, here's the, this one's got the best circuitry, this one's got the best tone, this one's got many, the best options. I don't know. I think something like that pedal, it has really made me rethink.
I agree.
Like what pedals are really cool to me too, also,
Like, are you buying the sound or are you buying the name?
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for that. Yeah. Because I was having a hard time putting it into words, but I think that's exactly what it is, right? And I realized for me, I've engaged in a lot of buying the brand as a guitar player and a musician. And I know for me in this podcast, I think I want to, and I think Austin does too, I can almost maybe speak for him, is like, we want to fight against some of that a little bit. Even though like, you know, if you saw Austin's board, he's got a couple Strymons. It's like, they're phenomenal pedals. There's nothing wrong with that, but we want to shine some light in some other corners because everybody already knows that. And not everybody can spend $500 on a reverb, you know?
Yeah.
Which is,
totally.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be where I'm at without the Strymon.
Exactly.
Without the Big Sky.
Exactly.
Kind of thing.
Well, you know, and I think that's the type of people we are.
It's the give and take.
I think a lot of people are always trying to say, well, this is better than this. This, you know, Gibson v. Fender, you know, stuff like that. And I just feel like it misses the point of like music and guitar playing sometimes. And it's not even really that great of an argument or a conversation to have. It's like a waste of time. You know, it's like, yeah, Gibson's great. And the truly experienced guys will say it. Gibson's great if you're doing this specific thing on a recording, and then you might want a Fender this time. You might want semi-hollow for a live show, or you might want a different pedal board live than in your studio. And I think a lot of people are always trying to say black and white, this is the best, this is the worst, this one's better, that's worse. And I think we're here to shake some of that up.
Yeah. But so for example, I have a couple phasers. They're both older. I believe I have an MXR Phase 100, and it's, I believe, in like the early 2000s, which isn't like super old, but for the lifespan of a pedal, that's kind of a long time.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know? And I have an old Mutron phaser.
I love that one.
Yeah, it's
beautiful
that's
pedal.
a cool one. Yeah, it's on its last leg, but that's almost the cool thing about it. You know what I mean?
Yes, for sure. Yeah, you get a different, you get your own unique Mutron phaser out of it. As unique as that already is in itself. Yeah, it kind of gets this warbly, tape decky thing going on. Austin's going to demo it for us at some point, but so you'll hear it. But that's an interesting one for sure.
It's a cool one, yeah.
But yeah, you've got a couple different phasers, right? Like you were saying.
Yeah. And I was going to say, like, with the Mutron, that's breaking down quite often. You know, you get a lot of scratch from it, and it almost seems like the phaser is reacting in triplets, which is interesting. But that's kind of cool.
Yes.
Like, I have this phaser that can do triplets. Yeah.
And it was never intended to do triplets, which is the best part.
Super weird, and I don't know. I have on my board right now a Phase 100, and it's fairly old. I don't know, maybe like 15 years or so kind of deal.
Yeah, I mean, I have an MXR envelope filter, which is like the size of, just a small MXR box, like any of their, you know, like their
standard
micro amp
ones.
or their compressor. Yeah, their standard ones. And that one's from probably, I think, 75 or 76, whenever they were making it. I don't know the specific year, but works fantastic, right? And it's battery driven, or it's battery powered. And, you know, like you're saying, they're 30 plus years old now, and it's still fucking phenomenal. It's still a phenomenal
Still chugging
pedal. Yeah, and I think there's, like a lot of people would go out and buy, you know, especially because of John Mayer now, a lot of people who were Mayer heads, you know, watched a couple of things he did with the Dead, or they heard, you know, his auto wah on Rosie or his envelope filter, right? And so everybody went out and they got a Qtron. But it's like, you know, I think they could have just got an MXR envelope filter, you know, $60 used rather than $200 or $300 for a Qtron or a Qtron Plus, or a vintage Mutron, which I just bought myself. Yeah. But I waited a while for it.
It's so worth it, though.
Oh, it's so worth it.
You know
but
what I mean?
I was happy I did the intermittent step. You know, and I guess I'm just making that point. I think I encourage people, make that intermittent step. You know, like Austin, he's got an older phase. He probably got it for cheaper because of it. But it's a killer MXR Phase 100. A lot of people have them, but it's still doing the job. My MXR envelope filter still does the job 30 plus years later. And so just don't be afraid to look a little cheaper, look a little more discounted, or look in some different places, people, because I think I know all of you, because I'm the same person. I get on Reverb and I just I Google or I Google. Here's what I do. I open a tab and I say 2017 best delay effects.
Yes.
And then I'm looking at some list that some dude who, just like me. Oh no.
Oh no. We got a little mic cable pull.
Okay. We're back.
We're back.
We're back. Got too excited here. I think I was salivating.
Yeah, we're back. Okay. Anyways, yeah, 2017.
You know, you
best delay pedals. I did that.
And then you got the top 10.
Yeah.
And it's some guy who, does he really know better than us or than the next guy? Who knows?
Or is that just his preference?
Guitarpedal.com.
Yeah.
Pedalreport.org. You know, pedallovers.net. Pedal porn. There, you know, it's like you'll get like then, you know, pages and pages of all these top 10 lists. And then you're like, I'm going to see which ones are the most common. Then you get it. Then you pull up Reverb. Then you look it up. Then you're looking for a used pedal. And I just feel like we've all been there, right?
I did that yesterday.
Yes.
Yeah.
And sometimes you buy a pedal you regret getting. And I think we've all been there too.
Yes.
Because you're so amped on
the
getting
man speaks the truth.
Thank you. Thank you. You know, I'm just speaking from personal experience of being that person who then regrets it or maybe feels like I didn't make the most educated choice because I was so busy trying to get on the hype train. And I don't know. I think that's just an important thing to pay attention to. Like, are you hopping on the hype train? Like you said earlier, are you buying the brand or are you looking for the sound? You know?
I agree. Like, for example, I impulse bought a Crunchy Frog from T-Rex.
Yes. Yeah.
Which
sounds great.
It sounds great. It's currently on my board right now. So to rebuttal Ian's statement, impulse buying that, I thought it was great.
Exactly.
I was on eBay and I was like, oh, $50? Yeah.
Exactly.
Why not? I'll just get it.
And so, yeah, you're right. There is the other side of it, for sure, where I did the same with the Tone Bakery one. I was trying to save money, really.
That's a great pedal. It's amazing.
To me, it sounds like any Tube Screamer tone I ever need. And so, like, I've been looking at the JHS Foot Fuzz to go, like, a little more intense if I want to do a little more distortion. But
is that the...
They have, like, a mini Foot
one?
Fuzz. They probably make a bigger version of it, but they have, like, a mini one that's, like, the size of, like, this guy right here. I think that's your... Is that your buffer or that's just
my junction box?
A junction. Okay. So your it's like the size of that junction box. It's like the size of an MXR mini phase, right?
Oh, yeah.
And it's a foot fuzz, and it's just like, I think, volume and like level of fuzz. And it's just super simple. But I'm just saying, you know, it's like now I can make that addition, but I made that initial impulse buy just like you did, and it turned out to be fantastic. You know, I didn't regret it. But you know, I think there's a balance, right? Like, in that moment, too. You know, because I've definitely impulse bought and regretted it, too.
Yeah.
You know,
no, I impulse buy and regret
it
all the time. When I was in Nashville, I impulse bought a old Vibro Champ.
Oh, that's where the Vibro Champ came from.
Yeah. I was in Nashville, bought the Vibro Champ, had it shipped back here to good old California.
Good old Cali.
And it's been broken ever since. I basically have this, you know, $1,000 box after repairs and shipping and everything.
This $1,000 Fender box.
But
it's a really nice leather covered box.
It is. And it looks really good. You know, it definitely adds to the vibe of the room.
Yeah.
But, you know.
But it's like to have $1,000 to have a great aesthetic now. Not worth it, right? And
oh boy.
Oh no, we got all sorts of...
Yeah, we got...
Oh no, it's all me. Sorry, folks. I keep hitting this cable. First time podcaster.
I know. I was saying I bought the Vibro Champ, right? I was at the store. I was playing it. I was like, oh wow, this sounds great. I'm just gonna get this. So I got it. Paid for the shipping to come back to California, and then once it came in, I got a lot of issues with it. It's one of those things I was saying before. Like, not everybody has. Like, I don't even have the luxury of using vintage gear for consistent gigs.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because I can't keep up with the repairs for it.
Yeah, man, I hear you on that.
And the reliability of it.
Yeah, and it's also one of those things where, like you said, you weren't maybe as educated as you are now to check out some things about the amp. You know, that's the life of being a guitarist, I guess, too, is right. I mean, we all learn from those experiences. When you buy the amp, you learn, okay, next time I need to do more research, right? Or I need to maybe do a more thorough playthrough or something. And now you know what to look for probably more than you did before.
Yeah.
I definitely relate to your frustration with buying something and feeling like it's a waste or like you can't even really use it, right? I mean, I've had that with some pedals, and I hope you guys laugh at me for this because I deserve it. I looked up, same stupid thing, tab, top 10 cheapest or most affordable ODs or whatever, right? Yeah. And I fucking landed on a Joyo one of those like Joyo pedals from China, and it literally worked once, and then the next time I plugged it in, it didn't work. And everybody's like, "Oh, it's only like $20. Like, it's gonna resemble like a tube screamer. Like, you won't regret it." And I definitely regretted it. So, I mean, it's definitely a different thing than $1,000 amp. But
yeah, well, we all have that impulse buy.
Yeah,
it's like you see a guitarist that you like, maybe playing through the Joyo, and then you think, "Oh fuck, I gotta get a Joyo."
Literally.
You know what I mean?
Yes. Like, I think I wouldn't own a gold top Les Paul if it weren't for Dwayne Betts.
Yes.
Because I saw him play after having been one of those people who was kind of always on the fence about Les Pauls and Gibsons. Like, always like, what's the hype? And I watched him melt face, and then I watched Luther Dickinson, or maybe it's Dixon. Sorry, Luther. Go on stage with North Mississippi All-Stars and rip on a multitude of Gibsons, Les Pauls, and 335s. And I walked away from that show completely bought into the voodoo of the Les Paul and the Gibson, and that's when I bought one. So, I mean, we've all been there too, like you said. But
if
I agree.
If it wasn't for John Mayer, I wouldn't have gotten a Strat.
Exactly. Yeah. Like what the Fall Out Boy guy said, that John Mayer single-handedly made the Strat cool again. He said that in the early 2000s, I think, which is completely true. I mean, he really did. I don't think the Strat would have had its sort of revival as a cool guitar if it weren't for John. Think about it. Nobody else plays a Strat, especially from that era, late 90s, early 2000s. Can't believe that's an era now. Yeah.
Well, if you think about it, I think the art of electric guitar is dying.
Yeah, people talk. Let's talk about that.
Yeah,
let's talk about that.
Do you think it's a dying art?
What
do you think?
I've heard people say that. Like, and it wasn't. I think someone kind of like appropriated some Clapton quote. Maybe some other people had seen this where he said like electric guitar's dead, or maybe it was like Joe Bonamassa or somebody of that level had said something like that. I want to say it was Clapton. We've also heard that from a couple ex-guitar like company owner, like people who had been involved in Fender, people who had been involved in Gibson. I feel like there's been some guys in the realm saying, guitar's dead, and I don't want to agree. But I think I don't want to
agree either.
Yeah, but I think I could in a nuanced way say I agree to some level, right? Like I agree to some point that certain parts of it that are dying, but to say like, oh, that's hard. I think the consumerism is dying a little bit. Like people aren't out buying guitars anymore, right? It's like. You'd go buy guitars like a Christmas present for a kid, and then he'd end up like not using it. But it was more like that's why you went to buy a Fender or a Gibson or something. And I think that's dying, But I think like more than ever, there's a lot of people who wanna play electric guitar, you know.
Well, if you think about the times of, you said the 50s.
Yeah.
If you think around that era versus the tools that we have now for production. Is insanely different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So, like all the stuff you could do in the computer after the fact.
Yeah, so
insane.
Do you feel like it's dying because of that?
Maybe not dying, just slowing down. Because I think music will eventually circle back around. It's slowing down because of all the stuff you can do in the computer.
That's where I definitely agree. I don't agree with the fatalist sentiment that, again, I've heard some like guys in the guitar industry say where it's like, oh, electric guitar is dead. It's like, okay, that's fatalist. Maybe it's not even playing guitar, but I feel like certain true artistry or musicianship is dying. That's kind of what I feel a little bit. Or it's like you said, it's slowing down. It's like dormant. Because I think it's so easy nowadays, like you said, to like put your guitar into time if you're slightly out of time on a program, and you can put your voice into tune, and you can basically make yourself as good as someone who would have had to have been that good
Who put the time?
In 1953. Yeah, like,
Yeah.
you know, I was listening to Isaac Hayes the other day, and I was listening to By the Time I Get to, I think it's called By the Time I Get to Phoenix. Someone's going to fucking rail me on that one, but I probably fucked the name up. But it's like a 15-minute song or 16-minute song, and I was just thinking, like, nowadays you would have someone play drums for like a minute, and you'd probably just pull the drums across the whole 15 minutes, especially if he's playing the same drum beat, right? And I was just thinking about, like, that guy back in the day would have had to been able to hold that time signature down for the whole band and do it for 16 minutes and not mess up in one take. And now people don't ever have to get that good, right? People don't ever have to get to the point where they can do a killer, perfect one take. And I know there are thousands of studio guys out there and professional musicians who really care and love the craft and still are that good, right? But I think there's a lot of younger guitarists and people who are coming up now who are able to cut some corners in a way that, I don't know, make me wonder about where musicianship's going.
Yeah. Well, I mean, think about in the 80s when drum machines became a huge thing. Think of all the session drummers from the 70s and 60s, you know?
Exactly.
You could just buy a Lindrum. You can buy an 808 or a 909 or...
Yeah, and it's the same thing now. So, like, instead of... And this is kind of my point, right? Like, instead of, you know, somebody really, you know, fleshing out some fucking great solo and doing, like, 50 takes on it and listening through them and, you know, picking one take, it's like, nowadays you can not have that ability on demand to just whip out a solo. You could, like, piece it together and adjust all the places where you're maybe not that good. And I see that it's like, you know, kind of what you're talking about with the drum machine. It's like, you can kind of just, you know, you don't, like, even, you know, we were recording, you and Sean were recording the other day, and I was hanging out and watching, and you don't need to bring in strings, you know, you just have a plug-in. You don't need to bring in a keyboard player because you guys can play keyboard.
Yeah.
You don't need to bring in a drummer because you have killer drum patches, and you can bring in a, you know, you can just do it on the keyboard.
Draw MIDI.
You can play bass. Sean doesn't even really need you. I mean, he does and he doesn't, right? But so I think that's where I just have noticed, like, it's killing some of the musicianship that's built off of, like, needing those different people and those components and those skill levels to be at a level of mastery, not a level of, like, kind of mastery or like a level of, like a hobby level skill. I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm ranting a little, but I just...
Well, no, I think, you know, you're making the point of mastery and level of skill can be definitely altered. I can nudge a vocal all day and make it sound like the vocalist was in the pocket the whole track.
Yeah, so exactly, and you never have to say to her, you need to be like 5 cents sharper, which is a really hard thing to do. You know, Sean pointed out we were watching a movie the other day, a musical, Beauty and the Beast with Emma Watson, the new one, right?
Okay, yeah.
And he just pointed out, back in the day, she would have had to been a killer actress and a killer singer. And nowadays you don't. You could just be one or not even really either, right? Because there's so much, like, I couldn't hear it because I'm not trained for it, but it's all auto-tuned, like, throughout the whole musical, right?
Yeah.
And he was just...
Or La La Land.
Yeah.
La La Land, you know, like...
Yes.
Great actors, actresses, but they don't have to sing phenomenally.
No, not at all. And even if Ryan Adams, which he may have, if I'm remembering correctly, learned piano for the movie.
Ryan Adams?
Not fucking Ryan Adams. God damn.
Ryan Gosling?
Ryan Gosling. Sorry.
Yeah.
My bad.
Sorry, Ryan Gosling.
Sorry, Ryan. You know what? Sorry to both Ryans, because I'm sure Ryan Adams would not appreciate...
He would not appreciate that.
...being Ryan Gosling, and Gosling would not want to be Ryan Adams, I don't think.
Maybe they will.
By the way, shout out to Ryan Adams, if you ever want to come on our podcast.
Yes.
We can smoke weed and talk about funny things. Or you could just come over and jam. That's cool with us, too.
We could talk about the VCR.
Yeah, come demo the VCR with us.
That'd be insane.
That'd be the best.
Yeah.
You know, let's just put it out there now. Let's just try and...
Whoever knows if Totally Todd is on this, if Ryan Adams is on this, you know,
who else does he play with? Mason Stoops.
Maybe a
Ben
relative.
Alaman, his keyboard player. If you guys want to come on, come on.
Yeah.
I think we should try and get to that place where we could just also Get together with bands and hang out and talk too, because I think there isn't.
Because it would be cool to see just how they get their tone. It doesn't have to be guitar tone, because you can run any instrument level.
Yeah, and I feel like it would be less of a production than someone having to show up for a reverb studio and film 10 minutes. It's like you could just have them pop in and talk music, and I'm sure a lot of people have already wanted to do that. I'm sure it's a dilemma of like everybody would love to have John Mayer on their show, but it's just a matter of having the hype or the connection. And so
in the financials to back it.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. And so let's put it out there. Get to that point in the podcast.
That'd be great. If you want to help us out and get there.
Yeah.
Because I would love to see how someone would use the Diamond Tremolo and the Big Sky differently than I would.
Yeah, and I'd love to also, pick someone's brain in a casual way, right? It's like you're not doing a demo and reverb for 10 minutes. You're not being interviewed. We don't give a shit like if you're a politically correct person or if you say the right things or answer the questions right, or there's no.
Just come hang.
Yeah, just come hang.
Come hang. Get
no
some
restrictions.
Coffee, drink some LaCroix.
Coffee and LaCroix and LaCroix. LaCroix.
So it's LaCroix. I went to their website.
What?
And at the bottom it says LaCroix. It rhymes with enjoy. Boom.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Wow.
Yep.
That just changed things for me.
It's the whole flanger-flanger situation that we've heard about earlier.
Oh my god, it's ladies and gentlemen, that's like just it's like realizing you had a stain on your shirt for 14 years. And it was mustard. The VCR, I really want to check one of those out.
The VCR seems really cool.
It is, and again, I'm gonna, Josh, Scott, this is for you, man. I love everything you do, but just put 3 clickers on that VCR. Put 3 stomps on it, because the switches are great, but you would give people so much value if you just made like 3 pedals in one that could all be used as one pedal too. And I get that that's the idea, but say I'm mid-song and I want to take that chorus off, I'm not going to bend over and flip that switch. So what's going to happen is I'm going to have another chorus on my board, and it's going to make me not even want to put the VCR on there to start with.
But then what if it takes up more real estate, though?
True.
Think about the Chase Bliss pedal layout.
Very true.
There's 2 switches, but they're pretty close together. It's about the same size of a Stompbox of, like the MXR Hammond case. I don't know exactly what it's called, but
yeah, I know what you're talking about.
If there's 3 of those, it would have to be somewhere along the size of, not like the Big Sky or Timeline. That'd be a little bit too excessive.
Yeah, but I see what you mean. It would have to be beefier, and maybe beefier than it already is. I was under the impression it was a pretty big pedal.
It is.
But I get what you're saying. Like, it probably was an ergonomic design thing. Like, if we put 3 clickers on there, and it's in a sea of pedals on a board, it's going to become really difficult to click.
Yeah. Would people get it if it's this big?
And if it has that, yeah.
You
know what? This is why I don't own a pedal company. But just maybe think of it. I don't know. Just maybe Josh. I mean, Mr. Scott.
Mr. Scott.
We're just going to give you a general idea. You can decide whether you want to be in on this podcast or not. We've decided on releasing podcasts on different days.
Every couple weeks or so.
Every few weeks to keep it fun. Probably every 2 weeks. It could be more, could be less, depending on where we're at.
Yeah.
You might get some bonus ones in there, here or there, some surprise ones. Yeah. But we're going to tease each week before we... Surprise! We're gonna tease each week which style of pedal and which day it's going to be the week prior. So, for example, Austin, maybe run us through the list to give people an idea of what we're going to be doing.
Yeah, so for Monday, it's going to be Modulated Mondays.
So say we do an envelope filter. It'll be released on a Monday because it's a modulation effect. Yeah,
or we do a tremolo kind of thing. Or we're going to hit a chorus. We'll release it on a Monday.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So, but if Austin wanted to do a time-based effect...
Good question, Ian.
When would we release that also?
We would do that on a Tuesday. But, let me ask you something. Say we wanted to do a reverb. Something really wet.
I think that would be Wet Wednesday.
That sounds like Wet Wednesday.
I think that's trademarked too.
Is
Wet
it?
Wednesday, TM, don't take that.
But, we're hitting all these cool effects. A little bit more indie, a little more soundscape. What about those classic punk rock guys? What day are they going to want to tune in?
Yeah, so for our fuzz face lovers, people who like to get down and dirty, we're going to have our Thrashed Thursdays.
Yes.
Where we go over anything from fuzz to OD to, what is that, octave pedals we're also going to maybe do on that day?
Like a combination, because octave into fuzz.
Yeah, we're
fuzz
gonna try and hit some tones that are more about melting your face or obliterating your ears in the best way possible on Thursdays. And Friday is
a fun day. So Friday we're gonna take pedals and do famous combinations, those kind of things. Or we're gonna take pedals and do what would sound best signal chain wise. What would it sound like feeding a tremolo into a reverb, or a reverb into a tremolo?
Yeah, and what would be some desirable combinations if you were doing that? What style of music would you be playing? What song could you use it on? And then on those fusion days, we're also going to, and this will be a little more intermittent depending on the day, we're also going to occasionally hunt down some legendary tones.
Yes.
So for example, like I said earlier, if we were trying to cover the Smiths tone, we might do a day where we teach you how to, specifically on one of their songs, how to accomplish or achieve a tone that they were doing. Or, like I said earlier, if you wanted to learn how to sound a little bit like Clapton on Layla, or Clapton in the Cream days, we're going to focus on a song on those Fridays occasionally and hunt down that tone with you guys. And then Saturdays are going to be a really fun and interesting one. It's going to be more experimental, I guess, really.
Yeah, we kind of stray away from just guitar heavy stuff. We can get into DAWs and preamps and the coloring that a preamp can affect, the sound of your guitar tone. Like doing everything into the front of your amp. Or, just guitar into my pedals, into my amp, or, effects sends and everything like that. But choosing the right preamp for the right, sound you're going for. Am I going to go for an API right now? Am I going to go for a Neve?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm gonna plug into Shadow
and
Hills.
Austin is a wizard producer, and so he will be heading up a lot of those Saturdays that are focused more on, using your computer in combination with some other things.
Yeah, just
to
studio
achieve some
gear
tones outside
combined.
of pedals and outside of what most people have access to even. Because I think you do have the ability to, like you said, model a Neve or model an API, right?
All this kind of stuff. So that would be Saturday. And Sunday releases are just going to be kind of, us talking.
Yeah, kind of what we're doing
Kind
now.
of what we're doing right now, yeah.
And, this is our first podcast, so bear with us. We're learning
as we go, yeah.
How to be podcasters, really.
Yeah.
And then also how to be a little more articulate about pedals. And I think this is part of our own selfish investment in it, and selfish in the best way possible. But that, we want to learn with you guys. So Sundays will be more free form than anything. Monday to Saturday, especially Monday to Friday, you can count on us keeping it pretty focused.
Yeah.
So today you've heard us talk about a lot of different things.
Kind of went on little roads.
Yeah, we went down some tangents, and that'll be the vibe of Sundays in our talking podcast, which is what comes out on Sundays. But in those other ones, we'll do a little less of that. Actually, probably a lot less, and we'll focus just really on really fleshing out all the different aspects of the pedal, right? And then also just trading some licks. Austin and I back and forth trading some different stylistic ideas we have when we use a specific pedal, and then
Or just what the pedal inspires you to do.
Yeah.
Playing through the Mutron envelope filter that you have versus, something like, what's the other one? That MXR one you have?
Yeah, I have two. I have two envelope filters, the MXR one and then the Mutron. But I know what you're saying. It's like it would be the difference of like feeling that funk inspiration,
feeling how they react,
or that Grateful Dead inspiration when I pop on that envelope filter, or even now feeling some of the John Mayer vibes when I pop it on, versus hitting that Caroline kilobyte delay, and going from anything from like Bruce Springsteen to like a country slapback to super trippy shoegaze or psychedelia.
The kilobyte's an analog delay, right?
Yeah, so the kilobyte's a cool one in the sense that I just got this one actually recently. Shout out to Caroline Pedal Company. You guys fucking rock. Seriously, you guys make amazing pedals, and you're one of my favorite pedal makers. And especially this kilobyte, it's just so much fun, and I could tell that's what they wanted to go for with it. They have this old, I don't know exactly what it is. I'll research it for when we review the pedal, but there's a preamp that's driving this old like 64-bit chip that is used in like karaoke machines and like arcade games, and to actually drive the preamp then drives that to actually get a delay tone. So if you really spend the time to play around with that pedal, you can get into all sorts of really fun delay tones.
And we'll dive deeper into it.
And I want to say the kilobyte, I think it's actually a digital delay. But they're trying to, we'll have to look that up. I think they're trying to emulate non-digital via digital, almost like running digital through a tape machine to give it like a tape vibe, which I know people do sometimes.
Digital run through a tape.
Can you do that?
Yeah.
Or I think I've seen Sean do that.
Yeah.
I'm not a producer, ladies and gentlemen. Please rail/fire Austin, not me.
What, Lick Ripper?
Just a lick ripper.
The Lick Ripper.
Official title is a lick ripper.
New Instagram bio, Lick Ripper.
Lick Ripper. That'll be my my podcast persona.
Yes. But Ian
What's up? We're here with Lick Ripper. Like those morning radio guys.
Really aggressive.
Lick Ripper and the pig. And then you like oink over there or whatever.
Sound effects.
And you just make a bunch of like bad sexual jokes the whole time.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No. Yeah. You're not actually that guy, thank God.
Yeah. But Ian has some legendary tones to share. So when we get into his tones and all the goodness coming from it, it's going to be fun.
Yeah, I think we're going to have a lot of fun here. Austin comes from a producing background. He's worked on a couple of fantastic indie albums. And so he's got, obviously, an immense ability and an immense innate talent as a producer. And so his background is really focused on that. I've really stayed very much in the musical realm most of my life. I'm not educated very much on producing or engineering, although I understand it and I like to check it out. I don't know very much about it. So I think it'll be a great blend of backgrounds here where, Austin is also, just so you guys know, a phenomenal guitar player. On top of being a producer, he can also play piano, bass. So we've got this awesome, killer talent right here as my right-hand man. And then I think whatever I can bring to the table, it'll create some cool synergy, I think it'll be a fun podcast.
Yeah, you guys stick around.
Yeah, please stick around, people. And stick with us. This is gonna become more defined and refined, and it'll come more into form. But please stick around because I think you'll enjoy what we have to come. Yeah.
It'll be a learning process for both of us. This is the first podcast I've ever done.
Yeah, and me too.
Thing,
Yeah, for sure. And also, it's the first amount of like public speaking I've done in a way where it's essentially live or essentially directly to the people.
Yeah.
So bear with me through the ums and likes. They will disappear eventually, but for now they're here.
They are here for me too.
Yeah. So.
Well, I think that wraps it for today, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say I think that's a good place to stop.
That's a good place.
I feel like we've really hit all we wanted to hit. And again, if you want to find out more about us, we're going to get a Twitter and a Facebook set up, but for now we only have an Instagram, and we're going to start posting on that this weekend actually. So it's called the Stompbox Situation. That's the name of our podcast. Please look us up on Instagram and check us out. We'd appreciate a follow. And again, you're going to start seeing content from us over the next few days, and anticipate the release of, the next few podcasts in the coming weeks. Probably have 2 or 3 to kind of go into the new year. But, just stay tuned, and we will put out all of our updates on Instagram for the time being. When we get our Twitter and our Facebook and maybe even a website or a contact email together, you will all be able to reach us there too. And we have that in the works. And we also have a video feed we're going to get set up eventually.
Yeah.
If we feel like the pull's there. And
if you guys like what you hear.
Yeah. And eventually we'll do interviews. So just stay tuned.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in again. My name is Austin.
This is Ian signing out. And
signing out.
This has been a phenomenal day.
Yes.
Conversation. Enjoy your day, people.